These are just some suggestions I have for our current prompts for you. My daughter's excited too. Hello BookTube Nation, I'm Sam here again with A Bear and a Bee Books, and today I have a little bonus recommendation video for you for the upcoming winter edition of the Fairytaleathon. So our first prompt is to melt the frozen heart, and this is to read a book that features friendship or family. And for this one I have The World Above by Cameron Dokey. And I read this one, I enjoyed it, I gave it 3 stars. It's just a fun little adventure story that's based on Jack and the Beanstalk, and there's a lot of sibling relationship ties in it, and so that's why I really enjoyed it. I have a little brother myself, and I thought it was really cute and fun, and it's a story that doesn't get retold a lot, so that was one reason I particularly enjoyed it. Our second prompt is Rapunzel, Let Down Your Hair, and this is to read one that is over 500 pages. I would say this is a more difficult prompt, and for this one, the only one that I could come up with in all my reading history was the Odyssey by Homer. And like we said in our announcement video, any original works, including both fairy tales, folklore, and mythology can count, so you could definitely read the Odyssey for this particular challenge. And I remember loving the Odyssey when I studied it in school. I love stories that include the journey or from student to teacher, that kind of theming. I really enjoyed the Odyssey. I love all the different places they go and the different monsters and the Cyclops. But it was just a wonderful and entertaining read, and definitely if you haven't checked it out, I think it's one that everybody should study at some point. Next is Gadgets and Gizmos A Plenty, and this is to read one that is included in a series. And for this one, I've selected Stung, and this is a duology, and this is by Bethany Wiggins. And this one is sometimes said to be a Sleeping Beauty retelling and sometimes said to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So you can kind of interpret it both ways, but it is a bit dystopian. I did really enjoy this one. I'm big on descriptive writing and settings, and there's a couple of scenes in this that I can still kind of picture in my head, and that's one reason I really did enjoy it. It's a very quick read, and if you're into retellings but you want something a little bit different than the fantasy angle, I recommend this one. Next is to Beware the Snow Queen. This is to read a retelling or original that either takes place during winter or has a wintry word in the title. And for this one, I've selected Towering by Alex Flinn. Now this author is particularly well known for her book Beastly. They made a movie about it. I've heard better things about the book than I did about the movie. Now I have that one. I haven't read it yet. Hopefully in one of our Fairytaleathons I'll get to it. But this is the only one of her books I've read so far. Now this is a controversial pick for a recommendation. People either tend to really like this one or really dislike this one. There is a scene in here that reminded me of Wuthering Heights. So if you like that kind of dark gothic scene, you may enjoy this, but it's a very snowy setting. I felt very cold while reading this, but it does get kind of strange. So if you can suspend belief and you can just kind of go for really quirky, wonky things, and you don't have to have an explanation that actually fits step for step, then I would recommend this. I had a lot of fun reading this. I love the setting. It was kind of told in like there were some dream sequences and things like that, but I really did enjoy this, and as long as you're okay with strange endings, then I would say give it a chance. But if you like retellings that follow the original, I might stay away from this one. This is a Rapunzel retelling. Next is True Love's Kiss. Read a retelling original that has a swoon-worthy romance. And for this one, my answer is always the same. I always think of Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. I I don't know what it is about the romance in this one. It is unhealthy. It is not a good idea. But I don't know. Every time someone asks me for a romance and a retelling, this is the book that pops in my head before I can even begin to think about any others. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Her writing, I really enjoy her writing. I've heard that it can be a little bit more flowery or lyrical than some typical YA authors, but I really enjoy her writing. I believe I gave this 4 stars when I read it, and I would be interested in rereading it. That's how much I enjoyed it, so I would highly recommend. And again, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Warm hugs. Curl up with your favorite fairy tale or retelling and drink a warm beverage. So this one is really a free prompt. I love this prompt because it really gives you the ability to kind of customize your TBR and add something that you've been wanting to read that maybe didn't necessarily fit in any of the other ones, or it's a great one to double up with. So for this one of my absolute favorites is The Little Mermaid. And last Fairytaleathon for our group book, we read Sarah Henning's Sea Witch. And I just loved this book. I have a little bit of an obsession with Scandinavia, and this is set in a Scandinavian Nordic type setting. I loved what it did with the original fairy tale, and I loved seeing the bits that stayed true, but also the new bits that she added. The character development was really great in this. For me, the love story wasn't my favorite in this one, but I could definitely understand it, especially thinking about the age of the characters. It was a little insta-lovey, I suppose, but I think that overall, I really enjoyed this. It was a really great interpretation of The Little Mermaid. There aren't that many of those out there. For some reason, as big as The Little Mermaid is, it's one of the ones that doesn't get retold often, and I thought that this did a really great job. And finally is Let It Go, and this one is to pick up a book that you've been kind of hesitant to give a chance to. And for me, believe it or not, that was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and this is part of the Lunar Chronicles. Now, everybody's like, what? We love Cinder. Why would you be hesitant to pick that up? I happen to be one of those people that is always looking for the diamond in the rough. And when things get really hyped up, I'm really nervous to try them. For one, I am worried I'm not gonna like it, and then everybody else likes it, and then I don't wanna have my opinion differ from so many people with something that they love. And then number 2, I don't want everybody else's excitement to kind of overshadow how I feel about it. I kind of want to develop my own opinions and go into something without knowing too much. So when things are really hyped up, I am typically really apprehensive about them. But I believe I gave this 5 stars when I read it. I loved it. It's a sci-fi fantasy retelling of Cinderella. It's really, I think if you're looking for a nice comfort read, something to disappear into, I highly recommend it. And I am losing my light, but I hope you enjoyed my recommendation video. Of course, the group book was included in the introduction video, which I will link below. We'll have more information coming. Please feel free to follow our Twitter page. It's at A Fairytaleathon. I'll link all the information below. All my wonderful hosts, they're absolutely wonderful. Please go subscribe to all their channels, and I do hope that you will be able to join us for our upcoming winter edition of the Fairytaleathon. So thanks so much for being here with me today. Farewell for now. Bye-bye. Let me get my trusty iPad here.